The second half of the year kicks off with an interesting selection of titles, including a co-op shooter, tactics titles, cozy games, action games, and more. So let's begin with SANAE's Sylphid Breeze, a 2D pixel art action platformer in which you guide a shrine maiden to recover a stolen sacred pillar in order to save her shrine. This is based on the Toho project, but I believe it is a less common character, so that's interesting, with good looking art and action that seems like quite the throwback, looking like it could have been a PC fan game from the 90s or something and looks cool. An adorable looking title is DOGWALK, a casual exploration game where you control a large, affectionate dog guiding a young child through a beautifully sculpted paper craft winter forest while collecting decorative items. Explore forest clearings, frozen ponds, streams, and campsites to gather objects for a snowman together. Being made in Blender and running on Godot, showing off what is possible from using both of these, possibly inspiring more game developers. Switching gears, an intense looking title is STRIDEN, a first-person sandbox looter-shooter extraction game in which you and your 5-person squad battles across a post-nuclear Scandinavian landscape to gather loot, broadcast an evacuation signal, and escape. Set in an alternate Cold War where tactical nukes have obliterated civilization, you deploy into procedurally generated zones and have to scavenge weapons, resources, and electro tubes from airdrops in order to survive, construct a radio transmitter in your base, and defending until the signal is sent. This seems to have some Battlefield influence since there are 5 distinct classes in Assault, Engineer, Medic, Scout, and Support, each offering specialized gear and tactical value. There's also what seems to be a Call of Duty kill streak inspired mechanic named Power Spike, which enables you to temporarily transform into a radioactive bear or a moose-drawn tank, looking kind of wacky and insane in contrast with the self-serious tone. Gunplay and weapon feedback will be crucial to the feel of the game, along with Battle Royale-inspired radioactive storms, which forces you to take cover from the toxins, with the extraction shooter being the next big genre that game developers are trying to crack, so this game might just fill that spot. Love indie games? Sign up to my newsletter to get a weekly dose of what's hot, along with some news and of course, weekly game giveaways, so if interested, link is in the description below. I love the variety that we get in indie games, moving from intense grimdark action to something quite different in Block Factory, a factory builder title, yes, but interestingly, not in the vein of Factorial, but one which looks to be more shapes inspired instead. This is like a bootleg LEGO title without the branding, in which you are designing assembly lines to create charming 3D figurines from modular blocks. Core gameplay systems revolve around blueprint-driven manufacturing as you analyze the assembly requirements for each figurine, lay out specialized machines on conveyor lines, route parts effectively, earn coins by meeting production rate goals, and reinvest into upgrades for faster or more precise machinery. Interestingly, this also has 5 themed archipelagos containing individual diorama-based islands, so it has a level-based structure, keeping things more digestible as they gradually introduce more mechanics and systems, building up to creative, free-form sandbox mode, and will be for fans of the genre. One of the most anticipated titles of the week is Ground of Aces, a World War II base building strategy game in which you command an airfield, manage personnel, and maintain aircraft to defend against aerial threats. Set during the early years of World War II, you oversee construction of runways, hangars, workshops, crew barracks, and defenses, then launch missions using iconic RAF planes, and looks like it's for history buffs. It's a tycoon game, so you have to manage resources and production chains, but also manage crew morale, as well as plan out missions, where the objective is not to earn the most money, but to cripple the enemy. Each pilot and staff member is unique, with backstories and personal traits that influence performance, affecting not only operational efficiency but also risk during missions. This will be an early access release, with plans of adding mission scenarios based on actual history, but for now, the launch version does seem pretty substantial with a demo that has done well, so if you're a World War II buff, I'm pretty sure that this will be up your alley. Other games begin with Aurora Defense, a side-scrolling roguelite deck-building tower defense game where you have to defend the last bastion of light, protecting a secret goddess statue from waves of darkness. In theory, your defenses are set up on a grid, but enemies are not bound to lanes like in Plants vs Zombies, but rather swarm you in numbers, so your combination of towers in your own units have to hold the line. Looking simple but neat with roguelite replayability. It's an interesting week for bootleg LEGO or Roblox titles, since we also have the release of Brickadia, one that certainly looks to be going after Roblox with the blocky characters as well as the sandbox nature of the world. You are using modular bricks to create anything you can dream of, from vast worlds, complex machines, and even custom game modes. There's a wiring system for buttons, switches, logic gates, and even scripting, looking impressive in the sheer number of things the game is capable of, from weapons to guns, vehicles, and so much more. Oh, and there's also realistic physics and lighting effects, definitely looking impressive. LinkedIn does state that there are only 5 members on this team, and for now, appears to be a one-time purchase with no microtransactions, perhaps taking a lesson or two from Minecraft, and who knows, could become one of the biggest games ever. Death Ring Second Impact is a turn-based roguelite tactics title where you command a squad of customizable mecha to defend cities against mutated monster hordes. Set within the ominous perimeter of the Death Ring, you lead the Griffin unit through tactical engagements where positioning, loadout choices, and module synergies determine battlefield outcomes. This kind of looks like Into the Breach cross Vampire Survivors or The Last Spell, with mech customization being central as you choose primary weapons, modules, and skills to unleash powerful combos. There are also varied mission objectives like evacuation, defense, or resource extraction, with a sick art style as well, so if you love giant robots like me, this is one of interest. One of the most interesting entries of the week is Devil Spire Falls, a first-person open-world RPG in which you create a custom hero to explore procedurally generated dungeons and overworld zones centered around mysterious devil towers and a land covered in fog. The actions of heroes past have caused the first Devil Spire to fall, which has caused a new set of problems, and you play as an adventurer attempting to survive in this world. Wander through ruined towns, forest clearings, mines, and underground zones, taking on quests and side missions, crafting gear, building shelter, and taming wildlife. It seems pretty open-ended and impressive in the amount of variety, since there is first-person farming and fishing, for example, which is on top of the customization options for your character, which reminds me of an Elder Scrolls game. Combat includes stamina-based melee swings, parrying, casting magic, and environmental interaction, such as being able to kick enemies into hazards, giving you plenty of options. The developers also chose an art style which, I quote, looks as if it came out 30 years ago, which is an interesting choice. Think Dread Delusion, for example, and is the hidden gem of the week. A title that might just go viral is Last Report, a horror adventure game in which you play as a night shift park ranger tasked with reviewing camera footage, filing reports, and confronting unsettling anomalies in a remote national park. You sit behind a desk, monitoring cameras and reports of suspicious activity, be it wildlife, illegal camping, or inexplicable shadows, then assess the images captured by the cameras and to submit findings that alter story progression. Yes, it does seem to be a Five Nights at Freddy's-like, but in full glorious pixel art, using classic horror tactics like showing you a creepy silhouette when lightning flashes, only to immediately disappear after that. Interestingly, there are also other park rangers which you can talk to and are characters in themselves, and I'm willing to bet that one or more of these might actually be monsters or something looking very creepy and well made. Alright, this next title might be not so indie, but we also have the release of PATAPON 1+2 Replay on PC this week, a remake of a legendary PSP title which was originally made by PlayStation's Japan studio, but has been licensed and remade by another developer. This is a rhythm strategy title which has great music, in which you command an army of eyeball-like creatures named Patapons, using rhythm to command them to march forward, attack, defend, or retreat. There is variety in units from shield bearers, bowmen, and cavalry, each with a different strategic purpose as you conquer stylized levels filled with enemies and environmental challenges. The rhythm element is important, but so is the strategy, having a progression system where you can create or enhance your patapons through a crafting system, and with over 400 types of weapons and equipment, will give you plenty of opportunity to refine your strategy. The remaster runs at 60 FPS, with updated visuals, refined UI, and accessibility options like difficulty settings, adjusting the timing between button presses and more, and it's a 2-game collection, so it should be plenty of value. The timing, however, is curious, since the spiritual successor Ratatan, made by the original developers, was supposed to be out at the end of July, so one can't help but suspect that this release date is intentional, but Ratatan has indefinitely been pushed back since that developer needed more time to address feedback from their Steam Next Festival demo, so in the meantime, you can play this instead. This one's for indie game developers. The free indie game marketing resources are ready, so sign up via the link in the description below to get it in your mailbox. The Steam Summer Sale spills over into this week, so we do not have the usual number of releases, but these top 5 could be special, including Every Day We Fight, a turn-based tactical roguelite in which you command a trio of resistance fighters stuck in a time loop as they wage guerrilla war against an alien occupation. You take on missions across a frozen cityscape, toggling between real-time exploration, stealth and turn-based tactics, and even aiming down sights shooting, mixing XCOM, Phoenix Point, and Mutant Year Zero. Interestingly, they talk about a reflex system which enables your characters to react to both friend and foe beyond the action point limit, so perhaps an expanded Overwatch system as well, where killing bosses or rifter leaders advances the time loop, having a different structure from the genre leader, so I am curious about this. I did preview Islanders' New Shores when looking at upcoming games of the month, being the follow-up to a personal favourite of mine, being a chill, minimalist, relaxing city builder in which you place buildings on islands to score points and unlock new buildings so that you can continue playing. Your main task is to place buildings close to complementary resources like a lumberjack near trees, for example, in order to maximize your score, but as space is limited, you will then have to decide on the optimal placement. New in this sequel are one-time boons like being able to duplicate or swap building locations, possibly opening up new strategies, along with new ways to score such as line of sight, as well as inter-island scoring, which links to previously completed cities. There's also a photo mode, an expanded soundtrack and Twitch integration, with both regular high score mode as well as creative sandbox mode, and is high on my personal watch list. Xenopurge is a minimalist tactical auto-battler roguelite where you play as a commander overseeing squads of soldiers with the task of purging the Xenos threat. However, the twist is that you are located in a remote command center and can only issue indirect orders via a retro-looking interface, abstracting the tactics which might be closer than you think to real life in the absence of cameras. Your squads are exploring these overrun facilities infested with Xenos, where you're issuing high-level commands, assigning priorities like extraction, combat, or planning a route through, which your soldiers then run with and you can only watch in real time. You can gear up your squad members as well as recruit new ones between missions with roguelite style progression systems and procedural generation to keep things fresh, where it's interesting to see how they can achieve so much with so little in terms of visuals and will be interesting to watch. Perhaps the biggest title of the week is Myco Punk, since this is being published by Devolver and looks to be Deep Rock Galactic inspired, being a cooperative first-person shooter where you play as a robot, joining the new Atlas Hazard crew as your last shot at glory, working for the Saxon Corporation to contain a planet-wide fungal infestation. Each mission sends your team into procedurally generated zones where you scavenge resources, activate objectives, and fend off fungal creatures. One of the central parts of the game is their grid-based upgrade system for your weapon, allowing you to create the sci-fi super weapon of your dreams, where I cannot wait to see the insane weapons that people come up with and how it might break the game. Co-op strategy will be essential as you build off the weapons that your teammates have, with fast-paced, intense combat and a cool art style. Between missions, you'll return to a dropship hub where you can test weapons, unlock cosmetics, chill with your friends, or interact with NPCs, looking kind of extraction shooter-like in nature, although that term is not mentioned anywhere on the Steam page. We also have the release of one of my most anticipated titles in Everdeep Aurora, an exploration platformer where you play as a feline child delving into the subterranean ruins of a post-meteor world in search of her missing mother. Descend through layered, tile-based environments as you uncover long-buried secrets and meet a diverse cast of characters, gaining tools and abilities which enable you to dig further, but do note that there is no combat here, but rather it is about exploration, which does look intriguing. Watch this video for the best upcoming games from the summer.